Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Victoria Coren Mitchell. In the news this week, in the Midlands, one train driver is unaware of just how far behind schedule they are with the construction of HS2. While the world's most important people meet up in Glasgow, one man begins to wonder whether his invitation was delivered next door. And in Michigan, a food manufacturer admits that some crystal meth may have been knocked into their mayonnaise mixing vats. On Ian's team tonight is a journalist who once said, if you tell people that they're wrong, then they stop listening to you, which makes hosting a quiz a bit of a challenge. Please welcome Helen Lewis. On Paul's team tonight is a comedian who once performed a Shakespeare play set in a shoe shop. The reviews weren't great, but it was fantastic for all the actors involved to get that training for working in a shop. Please welcome Maisie Adam. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Helen, take a look at this.
Well, this is last week's story. Absolutely no new sleaze allegations coming out this week, as I can see.
Yes, that's the House of Lords. That'll be a knighthood. Thank you very much. Oh, a peerage. Thank you very much. 2 peerages now we're talking. 3 peerages. And would you like to be Commissioner for Standards? I can throw that in. Oh, talking of low standards, here he comes.
Sir Geoffrey Cox arriving for his second job as an MP.
So this is sleaze, which, just hasn't gone away. You'd think we'd get over it. And the public's not interested. I mean, the government's saying, move on, nothing to see.
Do you have a favourite terrible second job? Because I've been kind of reading through, trying to decide which one I think is really just the grubbiest, the lowest and the grubbiest.
OK, go for it.
I think Ian Duncan-Smith and the hand sanitizer is my favourite one.
Now, Ian Duncan-Smith, it's a consultancy for a hand sanitising firm.
An alcohol-free hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Can't even drink it.
He thinks...
No, presumably they need somebody with, well, dirtiest hands possible, and he was the best candidate by a mile. Surely.
Do you know about Philip Dunn? He worked for an aerospace company, former Minister of Defence, and working for an aerospace company, he has constantly pushed for more spending on military matters.
Good grief.
That's just because he cares about aerospace in the same way that Owen Paterson just cared very deeply about milk standards.
I used to think there was a gap in the confectioner's shelves. I'm not going to explain it, but it's aerospace is a bar of dear. Well, first of all, you've got to time that laugh on a calendar. And the applause was deeply patronising. Thank you very much. You've made my Christmas.
We saw Geoffrey Cox in the footage there. What's his other job?
What isn't his other job? I mean, he's taken nearly £1 million in a year for giving advice to a tax haven, which wasn't, have you thought about paying some tax? It's the only advice really you need to give to a tax haven. And he just seems to have done an enormous amount. I mean, he was sort of clocking in 30 hours a week on top of allegedly his main full-time job as an MP. And he issued this magnificently pompous statement where he said, Sir Geoffrey Cox doesn't think he's done anything wrong, actually. Sir Geoffrey Cox is very happy, and also you can't get Sir Geoffrey Cox because he's got a massive majority, so Sir Geoffrey Cox says, nya. There was a headline that said Brazen Cox, which I thought would be a great drag name.
Oh, Brazen Cox.
But not a great barbecue.
It's not against the rules, though, is it, to have 2 jobs?
Well, again, he does appear to have broken a number of rules. You're allowed to do 2 jobs, but you're not really allowed to do the second job in your office in Parliament. And one of the newspapers caught him conducting a Zoom meeting for his other job while he was in Parliament. And then the bell went and he had to go and vote. Oh, for goodness sake, how annoying is that?
There's an alternative view, though, isn't there? The International Trade Secretary, Anne-Marie Trevelyan...
Yes.
...expressed what alternative view about second jobs?
She rather unfortunately said that MPs having second jobs added a richness to Parliament. Which is one of the few true things said this week.
See, I think they should all be made to have second jobs, but they can't earn more than £10 an hour. It would be quite useful.
Yeah.
The trouble is, can you imagine... I mean, Chris Grayling is one of these MPs who takes quite a lot of money from a ports company. If he turned up as your care assistant, I mean, you'd long for the sweet release of death.
I mean, for balance, I feel I should point out Keir Starmer has also made money working as a barrister. Is he relevant enough for that to matter? And Boris Johnson has faced anger from MPs on all sides. How has he responded to that?
By refusing to apologise and not admitting that he'd done anything wrong.
And staying away.
Yes, he
the
didn't
debate.
even turn up to the debate.
Yeah.
He said he had to visit a hospital.
Maternity ward, probably.
When Boris Johnson was ready to robustly defend the country, what did he say about Britain?
It wasn't corrupt.
He did. He stated Britain is not a corrupt country.
Yes.
And this is classic, the Prime Minister. He thinks if he says it, it's true. Whereas we all think the opposite.
That's the thing. The fact that he says it reminds me... Charlie Brooker once said, imagine if you moved into a new home and some people knocked on the door and said, hello, we're your non-dogging neighbours. How did the Environment Minister, George Eustace... describe... How did he describe the Commons debacle over the Owen Paterson business?
Was it storm in a teacup?
It's just a storm in a teacup. He said on Times Radio, the Prime Minister is very loyal and doesn't like being bounced into doing the wrong thing.
No, he does the wrong thing voluntarily.
What did Mr Johnson not rule out in terms of Owen Paterson's future?
Membership of the House of Lords, which would be suitable punishment for lobbying. No, incredibly, I mean, it's still on the cards. I personally think it won't happen because you need about £3 million to get into the House of Lords now, and I just don't think Paterson's got the money.
Ian, that's very unfair. Some of those Tory treasurers simply happened. The money just fell out of their pockets into the Conservative funds as they were doing the great philanthropy that meant they landed in the Lords.
Yes, but it is funny that just being treasurer of the Conservative Party and giving £3 million got all of them a peerage. I mean, you would think they bought it. I mean, obviously, I didn't think that, because, you know, I want to stay out of jail. I don't terribly.
It was found that a series of treasurers had donated £3 million and got peerages, and what did they donate after that?
Nothing.
Well, it really dropped off. I mean, there are graphs. If you want to look at a graph...
Oh, we got a graph on the show.
Yes.
This is a first.
This is just an example. Lord Brownlow, he was the chap who contributed very kindly £58,000 towards redecorating the Prime Minister's flat. But you could sort of see that what happened after the period. He just needed to spend the money on the ermine. And
How much does the figure for 2020 represent?
I think it's barely a lampshade.
But the House of Lords is a marvellous institution, and it's not knock it because there's some wonderful people in there. Who knows about Lord Wolfson of Tredegar? I mean, he made a wonderful contribution to cultural life.
I watched a very strange speech he gave in which he fantasised about what would happen were a normal gentleman on the beach taking an erotic photograph of his wife and someone happened to be breastfeeding in the back and he caught her nipple in his photograph. Would it then be committing a crime? And you thought, you've given this a lot of thought.
Let's just delve into that a little bit more deeply. So some people said, if a woman's breastfeeding her child, you shouldn't take a picture without her wanting it. Well, Lord Wolfson couldn't stand for that because what if a man was taking a photo of his own wife on the beach for his own gratification and might unintentionally include a shot of a woman he didn't know with her breast out, suckling.
I mean, it's true. I mean, during the summer, you can barely get into the sea for women breastfeeding their kids on the sea.
You just think, don't you? You could have just given it to one person to proofread before and go, I don't know, mate. I think I'd maybe take the bit out about getting off on your wife.
That I thought was romantic. The idea of taking...
You thought that was romantic?
A man taking a picture of his wife for his own gratification. it was the suckling that I stopped thinking about that, Lord.
Just lean up against the pier a little bit more, darling. I want to get the Donkey Derby in the background.
Why, thanks to another Lord, do we not know as much as we might know about the awarding of hundreds of millions of pounds of COVID testing contracts? It's Lord Bethel. He deleted some WhatsApp messages from his phone to free up space.
Sure.
Previously, he was a junior health minister. He hadn't been able to show the messages because his phone was lost, and it was also broken and defective. And then he said he'd given that phone to a member of his family and bought a different phone.
Oh, my God.
It's a nice present, isn't it, for a member of the family? His defective, broken old phone.
Which is also lost, so they've got to find it for themselves.
4 excuses about not producing the WhatsApp messages. I mean, do we think he had something to hide?
Well, the other option is that his phone is full of something else that he just doesn't want people to see. Hundreds of photos of suckling.
For his own gratification.
Yeah.
How was Nadine Dorris embarrassed this week?
She woke up.
She's introducing a bill to reduce online media abuse.
Yes.
She said, you know, you've got to stop this sort of online abuse of people. It's actually terrible. And then someone found an old tweet where she'd directly messaged James O'Brien on LBC and called him a fuckwit.
That's not an old family name. He's not one of the... not one of the fuckwits of Hampshire.
And I think people drew the conclusion that perhaps the Minister for Culture... I know, it makes me laugh thinking of it. Shouldn't be directly abusing a journalist on a radio programme for disagreeing with her.
It's so stupid as well to DM somebody. Like, when I get trolled on Twitter, it's somebody who doesn't have their picture on their Twitter and their handle is something completely, like, nondescript or giving any clues to who they are. But when you've got a DM from Nadine Dorris, MP, with a smiling away, verified tick, you can't really go, oh, it wasn't me, it must have been a fake account.
Well, someone sent me an unbelievably rude pigeon.
Did it sit on your windowsill, sticking 2 feathers up at you?
I just ignored him. I just said, you're blocked, and I pulled the sash.
A lot of UK politicians are getting flack at the moment, but let's spare a thought for the politician Janus Boy. Can you guess what happened to him?
Yes, I should think people are making fun of his name. Being Janus. Probably saying, what does the J stand for?
Well,
See, what I'm saying there is that could be a first name and anus could be a second. See, Aero, it's a bar of chocolate. You've got space on the shelf.
Janus Boy had an unfortunate problem with one of his election posters. Some of the letters were bleached out.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
We can just have a look.
In the old days, that used to be a card in a newsagent's window.
This is the revelation that an increasing number of Conservative MPs have more than one job. In 2015, Geoffrey Cox claimed expenses for a 49p bottle of milk, £2 worth of tea bags and £4.99 for a weed killer. He was making a nice cup of tea for Nick Clegg at the time. Reflecting on his failure to anticipate several moves ahead, Boris Johnson told an ally, none of us are champion chess players. A good analogy for the current leadership. The only difference is when someone says, checkmate, they get the reply, I'd love one, thank you. Also this week, politician Janus Boy has found that his election pictures have been defaced. Either that, or Marvel have almost run out of superheroes.
Are you going to ask us about the pissed MPs?
Going to Gibraltar?
Yeah, that was a good story.
3 MPs, 2 SNP, 1 Labour, all got so leathered in either the BA lounge or on the plane that the Labour one had to be taken off in a wheelchair. The Scottish ones carried on through.
Paul and Maisie,
yes,
get the big environmental story of the week.
Excellent.
Oh.
Right, well... What do we think that is?
It's harrowing, that's what it is.
It is... That was last week, wasn't it, Halloween? I know, Halloween. Well, judging by the 2 small potatoes there being given us as a clue, because somebody in the programme thinks we're probably a bit thick and haven't worked it out, is that a massive potato?
Yes, Did you not hear about the mashed potato?
No, I didn't, no.
He's been named Doug.
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 Doug, the massive potato.
Yes, because he was dug up by Colin and Donna Craig Brown, weighing a healthy 7.8 kilograms. Here's Colin describing the amazing moment.
I got the fork and jabbed into it and hoiked it out of the ground and holy snapping turtle teeth. What's going on here? What is it? I said to Donna, I said, no, it's a potato. And she went, no. I said, yeah, it is.
Very good.
What do you think Doug's owners have done with him subsequently?
Doug's owners.
Oh.
Well,
His
His
parents.
His parents, his mummy and daddy.
they've dressed him in a hat and,
No.
and they take him for walks.
No, that's not taking him for walks. That's taking a trolley for a walk that's got a potato on it.
Who is this bad news for, do you think?
The second biggest potato in the world.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. It was a title held proudly in Britain. Peter Glazebrook.
The second biggest potato in the world is called Peter Glazebrook.
Peter Glazebrook is the proud grower
Oh,
I see.
okay.
Proud
of the
grower.
second biggest
Oh,
potato, 5
goodness,
kilograms.
yeah.
But he can be comforted in the knowledge that he still holds what?
He still holds a potato.
No, he's got the world's record for the world's largest cauliflower. Let's have a look at it. There you go.
Oh,
Ooh,
my
that's wrong.
Well, I'm not sure that's a cauliflower. I think that's him doing a can-can dance.
So that's a lovely story. And now let's talk about the end of the world. What's the other environmental thing that's going on?
Well, obviously, the big conference in Glasgow. China and America have agreed to cut some emissions.
And someone who didn't do that is Joe Biden. He farted in front of Camilla,
I love this story so much.
which genuinely seems to have been the best thing that's ever happened to her. She seems delighted by it.
I mean, a source told the Daily Mail it was long and loud and impossible to ignore. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it.
Incredible. For Camilla, I'm not surprised she's not stopped talking about it. Imagine how boring some of her days are. And then she goes and meets Joe Biden, and you just sort of see him lean to the side thinking it's going to be quiet, and it's just...
I thought it was the Queen's birthday. It sounded like a 21-gun salute.
Delegates at the conference have been adhering to the when in Rome principle. What have they been doing for the first time? They tried something.
Well, they tried to agree a target.
They tried iron brew. Iron
Stupid of me. I knew I'd missed the story.
Here it is. Well, they assumed it was a demonstration of clean nuclear waste, but then they tried it. I think some of them enjoyed it. German delegate Michael Buschel told The Guardian, it was not the nicest experience I've ever had. The first sip was rather shocking. Then it fits quite well with the fish and chips. My head told me, just get another one. You get used to it. What did Barack Obama say about Scotland?
He was like one of those rock stars that kind of go, hello, Wembley, and they're in, Glasgow. He said he loved being in the Emerald Isle.
Oh.
Not just that. Not just that. He said, since we're in the Emerald Isle here, let me quote the bard, William Shakespeare.
Again, just hand your speech to someone else before you go out there.
And what has Liz Truss been doing to show how energy efficient she is?
She's having pictures of herself taken somewhere.
Yes. Here she is in Thailand.
Oh, my God.
What wasn't she photographed doing? She wasn't photographed when she met Richard Ratcliffe, the husband of Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe.
He's on hunger strike.
She didn't want there to be a picture of her telling a desperate, starving, heartbroken man that she's failed yet again to do anything about his problems.
Why would she duck that photo?
I mean, they're there saying, oh, we can persuade China and Russia to cut emissions. We can manage outside Europe. You can't get a housewife on a plane back to her family after 6 years, and you can't even get off your motorbike and explain why not. What, does anyone know, has John Prescott be doing to battle climate change?
He's turned from 2 Jags into no Jags. He doesn't drive any Jags anymore, which I think is an incredible target, because he's done that within 40 years.
He also said that he's been doing his bit for the planet by eating at a chip shop, which, according to Mail Online, uses energy-efficient fryers.
Hey?
Yeah, those monkfish.
Would anyone like to see a cake that looks like David Attenborough?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, no.
What was that celebrating?
That's not celebrating anything.
It's to celebrate his 95th birthday. Still on a food theme, to encourage people to eat vegan food, what has a food company created? A Swedish company.
Oh, they've done a vegan burger where it tastes like human flesh. Yeah.
How do
like
they
put you-
know?
I don't know. I've not had it. I'm not here going, oh, yes, I had it with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
This is the news that the world's largest potato has been discovered in New Zealand.
I mean, we've come a long way since then. that was the gateway meal.
Since duck has started to go mouldy and smelly, he's been placed in a freezer until he's ready to be turned into vodka, which coincidentally are exactly the same instructions I've left in my funeral plan. Also this week, US Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sampled Iron Brew for the first time, stating, "I love it. It's got pizzazz." If your pizzazz is that colour, I'd see a doctor. And so to round two, the one-armed bandit of news.
Yes.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Judging by the last real turning and revealing Meghan Markle, it's a story about her. There's currently a court case going on at the moment. Her and the Daily Mail are doing battle in court. And she just remembered the other day that she had briefed some of her advisors to help somebody to write a biography, I think it was. And she'd forgotten to say that, and then she remembered it.
And she had to apologise for misleading the court.
Yeah.
Well, it was one advisor, wasn't it? Jason Knauf, her press guy.
Jason Knauf.
Jason Knauf.
Jason Knauf.
How do you know how to pronounce it?
Where do you stand on Dennis the Menace and Ganasha? Is it sympathetic to Meghan briefing somebody here?
I am a little bit. It's tricky because they step back from the sort of public eye, but then if you know that somebody's writing untruths about you, surely you should be able to kind of go, oh, just set that right, but also like I'm not anything to do with it. I'm not contributing the sort of subject.
It's not
to
about
it.
truth or not truth, this particular case. This is about the privacy of her letter. So it's not whether it's true or not.
Oh, this isn't for the biography.
Well, this what also came out was the fact that she had said that they had not cooperated at all with this biography, Confiding Freedom. But mysteriously enough, it was the one bit of incredibly intimate detail about them they hadn't complained about or threatened to sue over, and it slightly gave away the game that they were OK with it.
People really want to believe that this biography just came from nowhere. These two people just had all this information, they wrote it up. Just like Diana's book, where there was a biography of her by Andrew Morton. And everyone said, God, how on earth did Andrew Morton know all this stuff? Because Diana gave him all the information. This is how the royal family operate. And then this week, Prince Harry comes out and says, it's appalling. I mean, people are dishonest. They tell lies. Your wife's just apologised to the appeal court for misleading the court. You cannot have it both ways.
Do you think she wrote that letter then intending it to be leaked?
She had a conversation with the aide about how it would read if it was leaked and whether she should put the word daddy into it and whether it would pull the heartstrings when it was leaked.
I must say, I think that's not quite fair. She's thinking, right, well, on the one hand, I want to write to my father. On the other hand, he is almost certainly going to sell it to someone. Should I get a bit of help making sure that if it is leaked, it comes out right?
She should have put a few obvious crazy lies in there, like the Duke of Edinburgh did cut the brake cables in the car. Do you not think? I know who did 9/11.
Yeah, but the thing is with Meghan Markle, they wouldn't go, oh, that's clearly a lie. They'd go, Meghan Markle did 9/11. Like, that's what they'd go with.
You just can't have it both ways. Harry's saying it's appalling that the lies that have been told, and he's done a deal with Netflix. Has he seen The Crown? Unbelievable. I mean, he should...
I thought you meant then, has he seen The Crown? Like, I think he knows what happens in the end.
Yeah. But, you know, his mother's best friend has just resigned from The Crown, saying they're telling a load of lies. This is rubbish, this programme. Harry, no, I'll have 100 million, thank you. We are allowed to think they're a bit bogus.
He doesn't write The Crown, Harry. He's not involved in The Crown.
No, but he's taken 100 million from Netflix, who produced The Crown. This is what they call conflict of interest. We can't lambast our own MPs and say, Harry, oh, no, not him. He's got a beard.
be fair.
But what about the present that the Queen demanded for her 16th birthday?
Was it Prince Philip?
A bright pink super stretch limo.
Is that kind of thing. What does any 16-year-old
Pony.
want?
Come on, a pony.
A private performance from Vera Lynn. Yes, it came out that the Queen had demanded this as a present from her father, and Dame Vera was forced to cancel a variety performance to perform for the then Princess
For
Elizabeth.
her 16th.
Yes. Isn't that nice?
If I had got Vera Lynn at my 60th, I'd have never, ever lived that down at high school. Ever.
In fairness, it was 1942. There was not like the Beatles were available.
Are you saying it's like the equivalent of me getting Beyonce now? I'm now just imagining Vera Lynn giving it that at 60.
Meanwhile, how has the late Duke of Edinburgh been commemorated by North Lincolnshire Council? With its highest honour, they've named a gritter after him.
No.
What do you think it's called?
I was thinking it was Greta Thunberg. You know, give us a break.
It's called the Duke of Spreadingborough.
Oh.
I'm glad that nobody here could think of that.
Let's see the impressive vehicle.
No!
It's going to work alongside Britney Spears.
It's what he would have wanted.
In other news, who was said to have committed treason this week?
Not Prince Andrew again.
No, it's an artist, 24/6, who posted online a portrait he'd done of Her Majesty. Did you see the portrait?
Oh, my... She looks like a chihuahua.
That's the painting on the left there.
It looks a bit like Alan Johnson in drag.
He did Prince Andrew as well. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like a thumb.
Strangely true to life.
Sticking with things that are offensive to the eye,
Yes.
has anyone heard of Steve Goldman of Huddersfield? He's put something on display. It's his collection
Yes.
of dreadful album covers.
Oh, brilliant.
Steve has a collection of over 200 appalling record sleeves, which are going to be exhibited in a Huddersfield shopping centre. Would you like to see some of them?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
He's got Jim Post's magnificent I Love My Life.
I thought it was a shrew that had attacked him.
A tantalising Oil and Vinegar. And the pièce de résistance, Jean-Pierre Jumez's Nimble Fingers. This is the latest in a legal row over whether or not Meghan Markle briefed the authors of the biography Finding Freedom. Finding Freedom recounts the story of Meghan choosing her wedding tiara. She tried on 5 tiaras and the Queen said they all suited her. Adding, could she just fucking choose one because Westfield was about to close? Meghan Markle has been accused of using her royal title to lobby American politicians, phoning them up and saying, hello, this is the Duchess of Sussex. If I heard that, I'd assume it was the pub saying I'd left without paying again. Time now for the odd one out round.
Yeah.
Ian and Helen, your 4 are Thomas the Tank Engine, the British Rail logo, Kim Jong-un and BBC Director General Tim Davie.
Yeah, I think this might be a story about rebrands in some way.
Right.
Because that's British Rail's green rebrand, and they changed Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think Thomas has just seen that Jim Cook album cover.
Is Helen right? Is it rebranding?
That sort of thing. But I want to know what's the odd one out.
The logo, because it hasn't got any eyes.
That's not the official odd one out, although that is a green... Well, it was a Glasgow thing. It was to show they should be taking rail travel to the conference. But who wasn't keen on British Rail's green rebrand?
Is this the Prime Minister?
No, it was the original designer of the British Rail logo. He's generally a positive chap. I mean, let's have a look at him. Here he is. Cheery fellow. But in this case, he described the makeover as a load of old bollocks. So, British Rail, they had this green makeover. Thomas the Tank Engine, he's got a new 2D look,
Right.
which people have been complaining about because the Daily Mail said that it was too menacing and parents have said it made children cry.
Can I see what a menacing Thomas the Tank Engine for? Before I take that on trust, but that's true.
Oh! That Thomas would definitely troll me on Twitter.
So there was something, I don't know if it was something relating to Tim Davies' appearance.
New haircut.
He appeared somewhere, dressing, apparently, in a manner inappropriate to his position.
Oh, dear.
This is what he wore. And somebody complained that was inappropriate. I tell you what, if that person's watching, you do not want to see what I'm wearing under this desk.
They're worried about the fact he was wearing trainers. Was he wearing Adidas shoes at a Nike conference? What's the problem?
I think it's the fact that he's wearing jeans and a blazer, and obviously he's trying to take the BBC forward, but he's dressing like it's still 2006.
A spokesperson from the BBC said they're not aware of any dress code. The BBC always adheres to the highest sartorial standards.
Absolutely.
So
Look at me
therefore...
for like that.
Anything you say just sounds sarcastic.
Yeah, I know. It was a hell of a mess at my wedding, I can tell you that. I do.
While we're talking about Tim David, do you know what the new plan is?
No.
At the BBC? We can all look forward to this. There's a new 10-point impartiality plan.
Good.
And everyone, the idea is everyone who appears on the BBC is going to have to go on an impartiality course.
Yes, I'm signing up to it right now. I'm totally impartial, unlike the Prime Minister, who's corrupt and an idiot.
I actually have an unshakable faith in the Prime Minister's unerring moral compass.
I'm in favour of corruption actively.
So...
Good, that's balanced. That's enough.
I don't think I can give any points. They've all had their appearances criticised, apart from Kim Jong-un, who has been pictured in recent weeks looking trim after losing 3 stone. Not that it matters, as he's topped every North Korean Heat magazine's Weird Crush of the Year poll since 2001. Paul and Maisie, your 4 are Brian Cox,
Yes.
a Formula 1 fan called Mark, the Murdochs, and Keith the Duck.
I've got this, Victoria. 3 of them are pictures of men, and 1 is a picture of a duck. Come on.
Quite an obscure link if you didn't see the story about Mark, the Formula 1 fan.
Is he naked?
Yes, but if he was naked, then it's just the Murdochs that aren't.
Yes. Yes.
We've cracked it.
Unless Keith the Duck's wearing a cummerbund we can't see.
Yeah.
Is it mistaken identities?
Yes.
Because there was a story about a Formula 1 fan who was instantly enjoying Formula 1 when I think Interpol thought he was a Sicilian crime lord.
You're right about Mark. He was having dinner with his son. He'd gone to see the Dutch Grand Prix, and they swooped in because they thought he was a Sicilian crime lord.
And Rupert Murdoch gets mistaken for Keith the Duck.
Yeah.
But there were some candles of Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch that were in an Australian art exhibition, and they were melting to show, I don't know, a satire about power. It was an art thing. And the reviewer didn't know it was. He was just like, oh, these melty candle blokes, 3 stars.
He admired what he took to be effigies of,
The
and let's
Virgin
have a
and
look at the
Child?
candles. God and Jesus.
Oh. What Bibles was he reading as a kid?
Smart
Jesus
casual.
got up for a day and put on his best suit before feeding the 5,000.
Yeah.
Nobody saw the story about Keith the Duck.
No.
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 Nobody saw the story about Keith the Duck. This is going to be a new version of Only Connect called Only Thick.
Keith the Duck was a pet owned by a fan of Wigan Athletic. Darryl Ravden, the chap's name was, and the duck died, very sadly, and he tweeted about this, and people thought it was a different Keith who was a supporter of Wigan Athletic.
Oh, no.
As a result, they made a big thing of it at Wigan Athletic, you see. They put something up at the ground and the duck got a round of applause.
No.
There was another story about a dead bird. Did you see this one, Eric?
No,
the
I think I
goose?
missed this one.
This was a goose that lived in a harbour in Somerset that disappeared. Here's Derek, let's have a look. And the residents are going to erect a bronze bust in her honour, presumably so that for once the villagers can shit on the bird. And there were just feathers found, but they hired criminal lawyer turned zoo owner Chris Moiser, who investigated, and the corpse was...
I'm sorry, say that again. Criminal lawyer turned zoo owner.
Yeah. So, they've all been mistaken for someone, apart from Brian Cox, who...
Mistook someone else?
For a duck?
When Brian Cox was starting out, he saw there was another Brian Cox in Equity.
Yes.
So he wrote him a letter
Yeah.
saying, Dear Mr. Brian Cox, we are both actors with the same name, but I was wondering, as you have not worked in some time, if I could use the name Brian Cox.
Oh, my God, no.
But the letter came back to him, and it was only then he realised he'd already signed up to Equity.
Right to himself.
He mistook himself for himself.
He'd made a little bit of a dig at how long it had been since himself was last in work.
Yeah. They have all been mistaken for someone else, apart from Brian Cox. Also this week, residents of Watchet in Somerset are raising money for a statue of a goose called Derek. The goose had a good send-off. The roast potatoes were a particular highlight. Which means at the end of this round, it's Ian and Helen with 3, Paul and Maisie with 4.
What a roll!
Lose the bet.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the in-house magazine of the Hat Channel. It's the best magazine for hat wearers, but be sure to keep it under something. And we start with what and what are both questions that buzz around our heads when it comes to hats.
Is there life after death? Does God exist?
Where is the best place to buy a hat, and if I bought it, would it suit me? No, don't say that's nearly right.
Not close enough. Can I wear a hat, and how will people react to my hat?
I have to say, it's pretty nearly what he said.
When it comes to hats.
Yeah, it is what I said.
Well,
What's the matter with you? Look, just because you're used to being on an intellectual quiz show, you're going to have to lower your standards.
fine, have the point.
Hey.
Close enough.
Well done, Paul.
It obviously was from the in-house publication for the Hat Channel.
Yeah.
It was actually an article from the magazine's editor. She went on to say she was worried about poor circulation, but it got better as soon as she put on a bigger hat. Next. Dogs' favourite TV shows include what and what?
Naked Attraction and Squid Game.
Just feel like there's the dog puns, like
Oh.
Game of Bones.
Love
That's
that.
good.
Have I got shoes for you?
Bitch of the day. Bitch of the day too.
Strictly come dogging.
There's no puns involved. Dogs' favourite TV shows include The Mandalorian and Mr. Bean.
Oh.
There you go. It was a genuine study to determine dogs' favourite TV shows. Dogs generally prefer dramas to comedy. Sitcoms led to an increased rate of stress. One episode of Mrs. Brown's Boys had them begging to be taken to the vet and put down. Next, when Edward Cook came to London to view the first bowler hat, he what?
He was bowled over. Come on! Thank you.
I mean, he absolutely was not bowled over.
No?
When Edward Cook came to London to view the first bowler hat, he threw it on the ground and stamped on it twice.
Edward, get some therapy.
This is from the Hat Channel magazine.
Well, it obviously is not going to be from the Daily Telegraph. Unless it's from 1786.
Well, I don't know if you've read the Telegraph recently.
No, I haven't.
It might have been the lead story.
Next, UK facing major what shortage this winter?
Is it integrity?
UK facing major fake tan shortage this winter. Supply problems with a key chemical used in fake tan could lead to a shortage in the coming months. According to suppliers, the supplies of fake tan could run out in December, which means Newcastle will be having a white Christmas. Next, even what can be an occasion to wear a hat?
Your gynecology appointment.
Even a Zoom call can be an occasion to wear a hat. Or, if you're really pushing the boat out, trousers. Next, what is one way to what? But there are easier ways.
Tap dancing is one way to run a marathon.
Yes. Wearing a hat is one way to cover a bald patch, but there are easier ways.
The long way is one way to Tipperary.
Lovely, but wrong.
Oh.
It is a hat one. A trip to Ecuador is one way to buy a Panama hat. But there are easier ways.
That's a headline.
In the Hat Channel in-house publication, yes.
What is the Hat Channel, by the way?
You can go online and find the Hat Channel, and there's just lots of interesting stuff about hats.
Is there? Then why haven't we got any of it in this programme?
Next.
Yeah.
Number 10 reverses decision to give Angela Merkel what as leaving gift?
No words, miss it. She refuses to be wrapped up.
Number 10 reverses decision to give Angela Merkel
Athlete's foot.
Euro match ball as leaving gift. It was a plan to give Angela Merkel the match ball from the Euro 2020 match in which England beat Germany 2-0. You see, that's typical. Where's the leaden, unfunny, undiplomatic, stupid idea? It's a mediocre idea. Oh, let's give her the match ball from the thing that we didn't even then win.
No.
Next. Archaeologists shocked to discover what in Pompeii?
ABBA.
Is it a phone charger?
Top hat. I bet it's a hat. Stetson.
It's not from the Hat Channel in-house publication.
Oh, why
It's
are we
not
talking
from the Hat Channel in-house publication.
I'm wasting my time here.
Archaeologists shocked to discover IKEA-like adjustable beds in Pompeii.
What?
This was in the slave quarters.
Yes, it was.
So you had the bed, and they were all adaptable. So you didn't get your own bed. So whatever size you were, these beds just fitted you in.
The slaves had been attempting to assemble the IKEA-style beds for 13 hours, so the volcano came as a welcome relief. And finally, Richard Desmond angry at being labelled what on Wikipedia?
It's ex-porn baron.
Yes.
But the missing word is...
Pornographer.
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 Being called a pornographer isn't the most embarrassing thing in the article. In 2010, he bought Channel 5. It's good now, though, Channel 5. It's good. Your caravan show was on Channel 5, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but it was about motorhomes, but thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, we put the name motorhome in the title and we drove around in a motorhome for 6 programmes, but I can see why you thought it was a caravan. A caravan doesn't have an engine. You tow a
the
caravan.
caravan has to be
And a
attached-
motorhome is a combined motor in a home. And they can't think of what to call it. So they decided on motorhome.
So the final scores are Ian and Helen have 3 points, Paul and Maisie have 6.
Oh. We're getting...
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
A man struggles to remember where he left large yellow farm vehicle.
Is he just going, I followed through, fetch the pooper scooper?
And I leave you with news that one man realises it may not have been the right moment to try and offload a couple of spare season tickets for Yorkshire County Cricket Club. After realising he's allowed to have more than one job, one man receives his 98th rejection email of the day. And in London, Greg Wallace quickly realises he may have been a bit harsh while judging a local police cookery competition.